So last night was Burford Demolition Derby. I've never been to Burford before, and it's ran by Demolition Derby, and I've never ran their shows before. Now, because this truck was set up for Impact Motorsports, it was way underbuilt for Burford. And what do I mean by that? I could have had a much different rear end. I could have had a lower cradle. I could have had a transmission protector. I could have swapped out suspension for like 2,500 upper A-arms and stuff. But honestly, I just did not want to store this truck over the winter. So let's talk about what happened. I went out there with a game plan to stay away from one truck that I seen go through tech that was very intense. And unfortunately, I tussled with them. I wanted to try to use the back to see how these notches would do. And it bent right at my notches perfectly how I wanted, but unfortunately, it went down right behind the coils. I don't know if it would go down anymore because it looks like everything's kind of into the axle now. Like you can kind of see where the sway bar was hard into the axle. So I don't know if it would go down anymore or if it would bend in a different spot or what it would do, but did not like that. Let's go to the front. The Dodge ended up getting a hold of the front end of my truck and just running amok up here. He hit me very hard. And I almost had no reverse at the time, so I told him he pretty much had to get me off himself. You know you get hit hard when your frame rips in half. Like that's quite intense. So this is my radiator, and that's my brake booster. And I can touch them both with my 2 index fingers. So that is one of the reasons I chose to use the 4.3s because of how far it sits back. And we are into the motor. Motor ran flawlessly. I started up, drove into the ring, I let it idle the entire time that the derby was starting. I ran the entire derby, no problems. I turned it off when there was the fire. There was quite a large fire during the derby, and then after the derby was over, I lost reverse, so I let it sit there and idle. It got me unstuck with a tractor, and I was able to drive onto the trailer. But the steering is very difficult because everything's kind of into the steering box, and this truck is so bad. It bent all the way back there where the torsion bars hook up. So yeah, we're not going to be saving this truck. On the inside, the entire truck is falling apart in here, guys. The dash bar's bent. The cage isn't bent, but it's not doing great. We still got our GoPros in here we got to take out. Yeah, that's the floor of the trailer down there, so it's not doing great in here, boys. So we have no reverse, but I was trying to use the back end a little bit more, but as soon as I lost reverse, I realized I wasn't going to make any good hits with the back. So I just tried to stay moving, and then I seen one really good shot with the front end, and I took it, and then I got hung up and didn't have the power in reverse to pull myself away from the hit I made. So overall, I think it was a pretty good demolition derby. The amount of full-size cars in Burford was amazing. I wish that I could have that amount of full-size cars at my turnout, but they just don't show up like that, I guess. We did take an axle shot, and it was a quite intense axle shot. So to show you how bad, this D50 rim doesn't look like it's bent, but you can touch the disc and feel the difference. The disc is actually into the rim. It might be a little hard to get this rim off around that disc, but there was a lot of broken trucks there. I'm really happy that I didn't break the rear axle because it would kind of look like a pain to get loaded after the show. So the fact of the matter is that this thing drove on the trailer, probably saved me about 2.5–3 hours of fighting with people trying to get it on the trailer. They had 2 skid steers and a tractor. I think they should have had more equipment there for that, but listen, not my show. Can't tell people how to run their own shows, but there was people getting loaded. I left there at midnight and there was still a lineup of cars to get loaded. But yeah, we're gonna be pulling this truck apart. What we're gonna be saving is the rims, the motor. I'm probably just gonna pull the motor transmission because it comes out together. The rear end, the drive shaft, probably some of the brake fittings, maybe the bumper, the cage, all that fun stuff. I might let that window bar go just because I had to cut it. Gas tank's gotta come out. All of this stuff in here's gotta come out. But honestly guys, I really wish this truck was not as rotted as what it was. Because it's not fun when everything is this bad. We're probably gonna pull the body off of the frame just to make it easier to tear down. But what I think I'm gonna do now is go start the loader, pick up the rear axle. We need to find a spot to put all this stuff to store it. Let's go take a look. That is a sad looking avalanche. So what we're gonna do today, we gotta go pick up some cars, but what we're gonna do is pretty much just cut the bumper off of it. It's a shitty bumper, but it's a bumper. We're gonna cut the bumper off. We're gonna take all of our stuff out of it, hopefully cage, but you can really see how bent this thing is. It's not doing great. You guys seen how much space was between the distributor cap and the firewall when the Derby started, and now you can see it. Like look at the firewall down there. It's completely punched out of this thing. I was really nervous about catching my foot on that threaded rod because it was just ripping through the body more and more. But like there's nothing left of this. There's really nothing left of this avalanche. Like, that's the dash bar. So, my plan for today is to slowly start tearing everything I need out of this. What we're going to do is take the cage out, take the shifter, ratchet straps, gas tank, fuel lines, rip off the front doghouse, cut off the front bumper, and then we're going to slowly lift the body off by undoing all the body mounts that I did inside this thing. So then that way we can save some of the 3/4 pucks, the 4x4 with 3/4 holes that I punched to get through the floor. So by trying to save some of those, maybe we can save some money on the next ones and then go from there. So lots to be done today. So we're gonna start tearing down this thing, and my plan is to actually lift the body off the chassis so that we can take the motor and all that stuff out at a later date. But by doing that, it's going to be able to show us how bad the chassis actually was on this, because I know you guys are super interested to see how bad this truck actually was. And I don't want to let you down because it was very rotted to start with, and it only got worse once it got in the demolition derbies. So thanks for watching, guys. We were kind of here through it all, and you guys got to witness the frustrations, the defeat, the rebirth, the defeat, the rebirth, the defeat, and now the death of this truck. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you back here later on Zach's Workshop.